we didn't land there. We got the flight diverted to Jaipur because it was like more than an hour. We were just waiting for landing, and the weather conditions were not improving anyway. So then uh, we again started for Jaipur, and because that was the only nearest airport from Delhi. So um, when we like that flight throughout was really very turbulent, and when we were landing was also not so good. It was a harsh landing. It was raining there also, and I don't know, that day the weather conditions in Bengaluru, in Jaipur, in Delhi, everywhere was really very bad, but Delhi was really bad. So then we somehow landed like the way we landed in Bengaluru. We landed in Jaipur, and then we got a remote bay to park the aircraft after landing. So at remote bay, we get the aero ramp very late, and the ground personnel gets late to come for the door opening and everything. Like, door opening procedure is the aero ramp is approaching, and if the aero ramp is properly fit there and the ground personnel knocks on the door, only then we'll have to open the door of the aircraft. So that's how it is. So we were waiting for the ground personnel to come with the aero ramp, but then as it was a remote bay, we waited for half an hour over there also. So it was now a delay of like approx 1 hour 45 minutes or so. And then the passengers were like, now when are we going to land in Delhi, and what are we going to do? Are we going to stay here in Jaipur? So who will be providing us stay, and I don't know what not. They had a lot of questions. And then as we were waiting for refueling and everything and the other process, and we had, as it was a diverted flight, there are several procedures for that. So it was again delayed further. So then the ground personnel got some, what do we call, some snacks for the passengers and for the crew members, because it was a delayed flight, and we didn't have anything in our carts to serve the passengers, and they were hungry obviously. So that's why we got some snacks for, just because we got delayed, that's why some snacks from the airline to all the passengers and crew members and cockpit crew. And then we started serving that on ground, and we were just trying to convince all the passengers that don't worry, we will reach Delhi very soon. After that, we were waiting for the other procedures and everything, and then I guess we waited on ground for like 1.5 hours, and the passengers were saying that like some of the passengers in our flight were traveling from Bengaluru to Jaipur, like via Delhi obviously. So they were saying that anyways we had to land in Jaipur, and now as we have landed here, so can we deplane here and all of that sort. But it's not allowed. It's a big no, because the flight was the flight didn't reach to its destination, and we cannot allow anyone to just deplane in the like it was a diverted flight. So we could not allow anyone to deplane over there, because then there would have been much further delay. And there is a process that if a passenger is not fit to fly, and if something goes wrong with the passenger or with anything else, and he is not willing to fly and willing to continue the flight, then he or she might deplane from the aircraft. But in that case, like if there is no passenger, there would be no baggage. So वो फिर कार्गो में से उनका बैग ढूंढना, बैग निकालना और वो करना, और वो सारे प्रोसेस में फिर बहुत लेंदी और बहुत टाइम कंज्यूमिंग प्रोसेस हो जाता है. So that's why we didn't allow any of the passengers to deplane in Jaipur. But then it was already a delayed flight, and we as crew members and corporate crew members, we were already flying since morning. So that's why हमारे भी flying hours exceed होते जा रहे थे. So we were thinking that now what is going to happen? Are we going to stay back in Jaipur, or are we going to go to Delhi? Yeah, is the same aircraft going to Delhi, or the other aircraft will go? So in the end, the weather conditions were okay, and it was much better than earlier, and then we decided to then take off for Delhi. So it was approx 2.5 hours that we waited on ground in Jaipur on a remote bay. And then we landed in Delhi, and thankfully the cruise and the landing, everything was good. No difficulty, nothing of that sort. And as soon as we landed in Delhi, the passengers who wanted to travel to Jaipur, they also had to eventually land in Delhi, because our flying hours were exceeded, and we could not fly back to Jaipur again. So we got the layover in Delhi, whereas we also had to fly back to Jaipur to our base. But we also didn't go to our base location. We also got a layover in Delhi, and the passengers who got who wanted to land in Delhi, they just it was good for them, but it was a delayed flight for them. And the other passengers who wanted to go to Jaipur after Delhi, then they had to book another flight for that. And because it was not the fault of the airline, then they had to book another flight for them, and then they went by that flight. So that's all for today. I just wanted to share this experience of mine with all of you, and I really want to insist in front of everyone that please just always be seated in the aircraft with your seatbelts fastened at all points of time, because whatever happened with Air India aircraft, that happened after touchdown. So yes, any moment anything can happen, and that's why you need to just be seated with your seatbelts fastened at all points of time. So because it is for your own safety, so please just adhere to that. And thank you, bye bye. I'll be back with my next video very soon.